your American dream?
I feel like I'm living my American dream right now. I know that's really cheesy, but my parents moved here in the 70s to make a better life for our family, and I was able to start this company. I was on Shark Tank last year and, really following my passion to design for sustainability.
I'd like to see our country more spiritually minded. That would take care of everything. Right now, the way we're working, of course, is to stop pollution, stop polluting the earth so we can have a healthier and more vibrant, happier lifestyle.
My American dream right now is a world without pollution.
Well, my American dream is really a global dream. I kind of hoped at my young age that I would have seen the world advance a lot more, and I cry for the young women in Afghanistan who are not allowed to learn and develop themselves and become people, and I cry for the people of Ukraine, and I pray for a world where freedom is for everybody.
My American dream is that we abolish borders and we get back to land borders and understanding our mountains and ranges and rivers, our watersheds, and really connect with the thing that gives us life, which is planet Earth.
Everyone has a right to the American dream.
Groundhog Sam! Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some pretzels, not Cracker Jacks. Ow! Hello, everybody. It's baseball season. Here in New York, it's all about the Mets and the Yankees. Let's go see who everyone's rooting for. I'm a Mets fan personally. Don't tell anyone. Alan, Yankees or Mets?
Oh. Yankees and the Mets.
Oh, you're an equal opportunity lover. Yeah.
Let's go Yankees. Let's go Mets.
All right. Go both teams. Yeah. Nikki, are you Yankees or are you Mets?
I'm Yankees.
Yankees. Okay. BX in the house. Well, whether you're a fan of the Mets or the Yankees or some other team, one thing I know we can all agree upon is that we're huge fans of Brad Show Live. And guess what? Now is the time we've all been waiting for. Squad, it's time for Brad Show Live, starring Brad Bernstein. Enjoy, and let's go play ball.
Welcome, everybody. It is Monday, April 24th, 2023. My name is Brad Bernstein. This is Brad Show Live. And, of course, we are live a little before 5:30 in the afternoon here on a sunny day, partly sunny day. I'm just looking out the window here in New York City. Welcome, everybody. Let me say squad up to the squad. Rog J. Roberts. Sup? What's up, Rog J.? Alcia McPherson, squad up. Earth Angel, squad up. How are you? Willie L. Williams, squad up. S. Wright. Hi, Brad. I didn't get to ask my question last week. Hey, guys. Well, ask your question now. I promise you I will answer it. Denise Bradford. I really like her last name. Squad up. Good evening. How are you? I said hello to Paulette Bryce Cameron. Squad up. Marinsa Velez, good evening. How are you? Pence Maya, good evening. Jessica Leamy, Mrs. Joelle Davis, squad up, my loves. Same right back to you. Lisa B, squad up. How are you? Mavis Henry, sending her love from Jamaica around the world. Mavis, squad up. Myrtle Ray, squad up. How are you? Rita Khan with, I guess, a question. C1D Vish visa, citizenship, married, possibility of a green card. What is the percentage? The percentage is 6.11147921687.1 I have no idea what the percentage is. I need to know a lot more. But the real question is there a legitimate pathway for Riyadh Khan to get a green card, married to a U.S. citizen, if Riyadh Khan entered the United States on a crewman's visa? And the answer is yes. Riyadh can't adjust his status, most likely, unless his wife's in the military, a former military, or unless he's 245I. But Riyadh can certainly do a provisional waiver, go home and come back within weeks. So is there a reasonable chance for him to get a green card, a rational process for him to go through? That answer is 100% yes, Riyadh. And US Kiki. Is it US Kiki or us Kiki? US Kiki. Good to see you again, guys, with a little heart face. And Emily Marshall with also a pre-schmooze question of the day. Hello. If you are I-458, I guess 485, is filed and the priority date retrogresses the following month, will the EAD be issued? The answer is your EAD and work permit will be issued, but they will delay the issuance of your green card. They accepted your adjustment, so they will issue you a work permit and your work and your travel document. And Nokubanga, hi, love you. Thank you very much. Love all the way back to you as well. Jeremy Goldberg, Poetry Thursday on Monday. Hey, what can I say? It's a brand new day of Brad Show. Hooray! Very good, Jeremy. Excellent job. And Chelsea Hiraman saying, hi, Brad. How are you? Latoya, his forever Peterson, still with him forever. Squad up. Rod Taylor, up and running. Yes. And Carl Hammer is saying, what's up? Just Brad Show Live. Nikisha Boyd with a question. Should I update my DS-260 if it's expired because I didn't get my interview date yet? Do not do anything unless you are requested. If you get an interview date, you may want to just show up with an updated DS-260 to the interview if they don't ask. And Marie Sunny Desiree saying, hello. Car. How are you? Yaz Jordan, squad up. Ronald Joint, squad up. How are you? Adesumbo Adelaja saying, hello, Uncle Brad. Patrice McGann, good evening. Natalie Biersing, question for Brad. If someone can't read and they need to apply for their citizenship, can you advise them what to do? Depends why they can't read. It depends why they can't read. What is that question? Where'd that question come from? Let's get rid of that other question there. We're not answering Lizalay yet. Thank you very much. We're going back to Natalie Biersing. Question for Brad. If someone can't read and they need to apply for their citizenship, can you advise what to do? Well, if they are over 55 and had been a resident for more than 15 years, they can have the reading requirement waived. Otherwise, people are texting me in the middle of my show. Otherwise, you need to get an exemption from a medical doctor saying you have a physical disability and can't read because of a physical disability. But then they have to run tests to show exactly what it is. It just can't be the doctor's opinion. So you have to actually go through some medical tests. So it's a little more complicated than just getting a letter from a doctor. Kerry Ann Vernon. Hi, everybody. And Carl Hammers. Just a dove sign, I guess. Milton Addy. How long is the VAWA process with deportation? If you're in deportation and processing VAWA, it's at least 3 years, maybe longer. Sasha Lee Lickmore. Good afternoon, Mr. Brad. Is it possible for an alien in the United States who came across from the Mexico border be able to get a spouse visa from a spouse in Canada? Yeah, why not? You didn't break any Canadian laws. And Chantel Lickmore, I answered that. And Ramatu. Hi, Brad. Can I apply for a U visa if I entered the U.S. illegally? Of course you can. Yes, you can. And S. Wright, with the question she didn't answer yesterday. Just my eyes now. I'll try to lift my face up over the question. I lived in the United States for years. My mom became a citizen, but when she did, I was not with her. Fast forward years later, I got stopped by Border Patrol going in and out of the U.S., but not using my green card. Where's the rest of the question? S. Right. Well, it's possible, S. Right, that you're a citizen if your mom was not married to your father and you had a green card under the age of 18 and your mother was a citizen. I don't know when you were born. I'm telling you the old immigration laws. Maybe you're younger than that. And if you're younger than that, then you would have had to have lived in the legal and physical custody of your mother to become a citizen. So I would need to know more, S. Right. Daily motivations with a question. Do you have to wait until 2 years of marriage to submit documents to get a 10-year green card if you're married to a United States citizen? Do you have to wait until 2 years of marriage to submit documents to get a 10-year? No. To get a 10-year card, you have to be approved after the second year of marriage. You're not going to be approved the first day you file. It may even take 9 or 10 or 12 months. So presumably, anybody who files for their adjustment of status, presumably more than a year after marriage, would most likely get a 10-year card. All right, I just want to remind everybody, we'll answer the rest of the questions later in our social media check-in. I just want to remind everybody that the telephone number to call right now to get on our show and speak to me live is 1-800-529-5465. Internationally, it's +1-212-227-8933. And that is the telephone number not only to call to get on our show right now, it is the telephone number to call us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you want to speak to me and have a consultation with me, you could also check us out on our website. You want to send a text message to us. Check us out on our website at www.lawsb.com. You can go on our website 24 hours a day, send a text message to us from your phone, and we will respond. And also, I do have to remind everybody that coming up, I am going to be answering all of your immigration calls. Oh, of course, you can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, Brad Show Live. Don't forget, it's Brad Show Live on Facebook. It's Brad Show Live on YouTube. Guess what? Brad Show Live on TikTok, too. It's Brad Show Live on Twitter. And not to be undone, also Brad Show Live on Instagram. So follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. And of course, later in the show, I'm going to be answering your viewer calls. You can call right now. Our telephone lines are open, 1-800-529-5465. International, it's 212-227-8933. But first, let's schmooze some immigration news. Let's do it. All right. So on April 6th, the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement announced an online change of address form for non-citizens. The new form gives non-citizens the option to update their information online, in addition to the existing options of doing so by phone or in person at a field office. It will enable non-citizens to comply with their immigration obligations more easily and improve the accuracy of address information reported to the Immigration and Customs Enforcement by utilizing address autofill to ensure the United States Postal Service standardization. The new tool will be deployed in a rolling release with full availability anticipated in the next coming weeks. ICE Deputy Director and Senior Official performing the duties of the Director, Tay D. Johnson, said, "This is another critical innovation to improve compliance with immigration obligations and increase the efficiency of the process." After successfully entering a valid mailing address, if the non-citizen is currently in removal proceedings, the interactive online form will show the non-citizen information on how to also change their address with the immigration court as required using the Executive Office for Immigration Reviews Form EOIR 33, which is the change of address contact information. This may be submitted by mail, can be done in person with the immigration court, or online. Now, what's most important about all of this is it is vital to comply with this requirement because the immigration court is only responsible to send notices of hearings to the address it has on file. Therefore, an immigrant cannot claim lack of service. An immigrant cannot claim knowledge about their hearing date if they missed it, if they fail to keep the court informed of their correct address. And if you miss your hearing date, you get an order of deportation, an order of removal in absentia. So it's very important to make sure you change your address with the immigration courts. And now with this new online tool, the immigration courts have made it a little easier to do it. Now, to determine if a non-citizen will need a notice to appear, ICE will run system checks to make sure that the non-citizen is not already in removal proceedings, does not have an affirmative asylum application with the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, and does not have a final order of removal. And tax day, for those who did not do it, it was April 18th this year instead of April 15th, because the 15th fell on a Saturday. And anytime a deadline falls on a Saturday or Sunday, the IRS pushes the due date to the following Monday, which would have been April 17th. However, Emancipation Day was observed in Washington, D.C. on April 17th this year, which pushed tax day back to Tuesday, April 18th. Except for people living in disaster areas in Alabama, California, and Georgia, everyone needed to file their taxes by April 18th of this year. But even though there were years when tax day may fall on a different day than the usual April 15th, there is one fact about taxes that is unchanged year after year, but is always overlooked in the immigration debate. And that is that experts estimate that undocumented immigrants pay billions and billions and billions of dollars. I didn't say millions, I said billions upon billions upon billions of dollars in federal taxes annually between tax returns filed and taxes deducted from their paychecks. And there are three good reasons why an immigrant who is undocumented would want to pay taxes. One, shows you're complying with the federal tax laws. Because if you're working undocumented or you, whether documented or not, you're working undocumented, you're working against your visa, you have no visa. The law requires you to pay taxes on the income you earn in the United States. Two, so everybody who works, green card, no green card, visa, no visa, entered without inspection, got to pay your taxes. So if you do it, you're complying with the law. Two, paying taxes can help demonstrate good moral character if you're undocumented and later have an opportunity to legalize your immigration status via adjustment of status. Because whenever you file an adjustment of status application, you always have to prove good moral character. And if you work and don't pay your taxes, that could be a reason for the immigration officers to say you do not have good moral character. And paying taxes could also be used to document work history and presence in the United States, steps that may help you be eligible for legal immigration status in the future. If lawmakers ever pass any immigration reform, the immigration reform is going to be, you had to be here by a certain date. And what better way to prove you were here by that date than you were here filing taxes on that date? Now, critics of illegal immigration have long argued that undocumented immigrants who pay taxes are able to do so because they're using stolen Social Security numbers. But millions of federal tax dollars are paid every year by people who were granted Social Security numbers validly. Either they were here on all different types of visas and then they fell out of status. They filed adjustment applications that got denied, but their Social Security numbers are valid. And even as many or more tax returns are being filed by undocumented immigrants who don't have a Social Security number at all, but instead are using something known as the ITIN number, the Individual Taxpayer Identification Number. The Bipartisan Policy Center, a Washington-based think tank, notes that most experts believe the vast majority of returns filed with ITINs today are filed by undocumented immigrants. Some non-citizens who legally immigrate to the United States also pay taxes using this method if they have not had their Social Security numbers issued to them yet. In 2019, according to the IRS, more than 1.5 million tax returns were filed using ITINs, accounting for $6 billion in taxes collected by the U.S. government. That's $6 billion filed by undocumented immigrants working undocumented in the United States following the law. In addition to tax return filings, officials estimate that undocumented immigrants also contribute billions and billions and billions of dollars to Social Security annually through payroll tax deductions. For example, in 2010, the Social Security Administration estimated that payments from unauthorized workers accounted for about $12 billion in Social Security tax revenue. Immigrant rights advocates' posts on social media during tax season have drawn attention to the issue. The National Immigration Law Center wrote in a series of recent posts, undocumented immigrants pay billions in taxes to fund programs they can't even access. Jose Antonio Vargas, the Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist turned activist who turned his struggles as an undocumented immigrant into a platform for advocacy, wrote in 2019 on Twitter, "Yes, undocumented immigrants are helping fund the very system that detains and eventually deports us." In fact, a new study from the Cato Institute found that over the next 30 years, immigrants will pay more in taxes than they will even consume in benefits. This net positive flow in tax contributions shows that immigrants will continue to play an outsized role in supporting public services like schools, safety net programs such as nutrition assistance programs, and even Social Security. Like we just said, undocumented immigrants funded $12 billion in Social Security payments just in the year 2010. Analysis of the 2021 American Community Survey shows that immigrant-led households paid $524 billion in taxes in 2021. This includes $346 billion in federal income taxes and $178 billion in state and local taxes. And these tax contributions from legal immigrants made up 15.9% of total tax revenue the government receives from U.S. residents in 2021. Yet immigrants only make up 13% of U.S. households. So immigrants are paying almost 16% of the total gross tax revenue to the United States that they receive from individual people, yet only make up 13% of the population. Thus, immigrants is a plus for the United States, not a negative. Importantly, Cato's paper also notes that the second-generation immigrants tend to have even a higher level of education than their parents. The results of the Cato model indicate that the taxes paid and earnings received, as well as benefits consumed by individual immigrants, is highly dependent on their age of arrival and education. Now, according to their estimates, an individual with less than a high school education who comes to the United States at age 25 will still have a positive fiscal impact of $216,000 when not including their descendants. Immigrants are also more likely to be working age than U.S.-born residents, increasing levels of education among recent arrivals. It is clear that immigrants are not contributors to these programs, that are net contributors to these programs in the tax base at large, helping keep safety net programs accessible to those who need them. The bottom line, according to all of these different studies, and I want to point it out during tax season or right after tax season, that immigrants and immigration are a net positive to the United States. Immigrants pay a larger majority of their taxes as a tax base than the average American. Meanwhile, amid continued stalemate in Congress over immigration, President Biden has allowed hundreds of thousands of new immigrants into the United States by significantly expanding the use of humanitarian parole programs for people escaping war and political turmoil around the world. The measures introduced over the past year to offer refuge to people fleeing Ukraine, Haiti, and Latin America offer immigrants the opportunity to fly to the United States, quickly secure work authorization, provided they have a private sponsor to take responsibility for them. As of mid-April, 300,000 Ukrainians legally arrived in the United States under various programs, a number greater than all the people from around the world admitted through the official U.S. refugee program in the last 5 years. By the end of 2023, 360,000 Venezuelans, Cubans, Nicaraguans, and Haitians are expected to gain admission through the same similar private sponsorship initiative introduced in January to stem the unauthorized crossings at the southern border. More people were issued immigrant visas from these more people than who were issued immigrant visas from these countries in the last 15 years combined. In the last 15 years, the United States has not accepted 360,000 people from Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, and Haiti. This year they will. According to a new report from the Pew Research Center, the Biden administration has also greatly expanded the number of people who are in the United States with temporary protected status, a program Donald Trump sought to terminate. About 670,000 people from 16 countries have had their protections extended or have become newly eligible since Biden took office. That's 670,000 people under TPS, 360,000 Venezuelans, Cubans, Nicaraguans, and Haitians, making that 1 million. Another 300,000 Ukrainians. President Biden, by the stroke of his pen, without any act of Congress, was able to make legal 1.3 million people, or will, in the year 2023. Altogether, these temporary humanitarian programs will become the largest expansion of legal immigration in the last 40 years. In adopting the programs for Latin Americans, the Biden administration was responding to widespread criticism over the chaotic situation on the southern border, which saw 1.5 million unauthorized crossings last year. It bypassed years of failed attempts in Congress to legalize undocumented workers already in the country or to make more visas available to employers who wish to bring in temporary workers. The new parole programs are temporary. They expire after 2 years unless they are going to be renewed, but they have already changed arrivals, people coming to the United States. The migrants who were admitted to the country after flooding the border last year have not been allowed to work, not at least for at least 6 months, until after filing their asylum cases. As a result, many have wound up in shelters in cities like New York, which have struggled to accommodate them. These new humanitarian parole programs, in contrast, requires immigrants to first have a sponsor in the United States. This sponsor will take financial responsibility for each of the people that they bring to the U.S. And in return, the United States expeditiously will offer a work permit upon their entry. Employers with worker shortages are welcoming these new arrivals as an important new labor pool. The administration's goal was to discourage the hundreds of thousands of migrants who are arriving at the border by allowing people to apply in a more orderly fashion from their home countries. And after the programs began, overall Border Patrol apprehensions at the border reached their lowest level in 2 years, led by an enormous decline in Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans trying to cross the border. Average weekly apprehensions declined to 46 people in late February from a high of 1,200 or more just in the first few weeks of January. 20 Republican-led states, including Texas, Florida, Tennessee, and Arkansas, have sued in federal court to suspend the parole program for Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, arguing that it will admit 360,000 new immigrants a year from countries and burden states with additional costs for healthcare, education, and law enforcement. But we just finished saying that immigrants are a net plus. year after year. It has been demonstrated simply by counting the tax revenue received by the United States government that undocumented immigrants are a net plus. Documented immigrants are a net plus to the U.S. government and actually help supplement the costs for the health care of Americans and help supplement the costs for the health care of for education of Americans and help supplement the costs for law enforcement to better protect and serve us, if you believe that's what they do. And the programs have attracted broad support in the business community in many conservative states like North Dakota, where the oil industry has been struggling to rig operators in the region's notoriously punishing weather. The State Petroleum Council is recruiting people to act as sponsors for new Ukrainian immigrants who can be put to work immediately. And in Utah, where Derek Miller, president of the Salt Lake Chamber, says the state has 100,000 jobs going unfulfilled. You want to get a job and you have a work permit? Go to Utah. They have 100,000 jobs they can't fill. A report last week from FWD.US, a bipartisan pro-immigration group, estimated that about 450,000 immigrants who entered the United States on parole programs from Afghanistan, Ukraine, and Latin American countries were filling jobs in industries facing critical labor shortages, including construction, food service, healthcare, and manufacturing. Humanitarian parole has been used in the past. The authority granted by Congress to the executive branch in 1952 expedites admission of people who do not qualify under established immigration categories. President Eisenhower, he was a Republican. He used parole authority to allow 15,000 refugees to enter the United States after the Hungarian Revolution of 1956. Parole was used to admit 690,000 Cubans by President Carter and 360,000 refugees from Southeast Asia after the fall of Saigon. Over the last several administrations, some of the most consequential immigration policies have resulted from presidents exercising their discretion for immigration, including former President Barack Obama's executive action to create the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals Program, DACA, which gave young undocumented immigrants work permits and a reprieve from deportation. Trump used his authority to ban travel to the United States from a list of very targeted countries, if you remember the shithole countries that he said. Meanwhile, Senator Bob Menendez unveiled an immigration plan on April 18th that relies heavily on executive action to address migration flows in the Western Hemisphere. Executive action works and humanitarian parole works, and Senator Bob Menendez wants Biden to do more because Congress is not acting. Menendez's proposal reads that it largely includes policies that President Biden can pursue without Congress until Republicans decide to come to the table and help the administration manage the current immigration challenges. Menendez, who is the Senate Foreign Relations Committee chairman, is attempting to reset President Biden's approach to the issue of immigration, pivoting to real-world solutions from the political tug-of-war where the conditions at the border constitute a crisis. Menendez told CNN this morning, "I don't call it a crisis, but it can become one if you understand that there are 20 million people in the Western Hemisphere, in Latin America, in Central America, in the Caribbean, West Indies, who are displaced, who are refugees, who are seeking asylum across the hemisphere. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that unless we work with other countries in our own hemisphere, they're going to march north." The proposal focuses on 4 pillars to effectively manage migration to the Americas: an expansion of legal pathways for immigrants to the United States, an increase in border security resources, expanded aid to countries in the region to amplify their own asylum and refugee programs, and increased efforts to combat organized crime and smuggling. The plan reads, successive U.S. administrations have designed their domestic and foreign policies to respond to shifting needs at the border, an approach that has not created a sustainable long-term solution to a mixed flow of migrants and refugees. That approach, according to the plan, has created an immigration system that's enforcement-driven, reactive, and overly focused on punitive policies, overly focused on deterring migrants once they arrive at the borders, overly focused on arresting people. This plan's new proposals rely heavily on executive action. These are things that President Biden can do with a stroke of the pen. He does not need Congress. And this is a recognition that immigration reform has been out of reach for decades and that Congress is ineffective. Congress will not change the law. And Senator Menendez is urging President Biden, who has already made programs for Haiti, programs for Ukraine, programs for Nicaragua, programs for Cuba, to make more programs for more countries. It was warmly received by immigrant advocates. Kerry Talbot, Deputy Director of the Immigration Hub, an immigration policy advocacy group, applauded the plan's focus on so-called, quote, push factors like political repression in places like Cuba, Venezuela, or Nicaragua, and its focus on enabling legal pathways rather than deterrence to address economic and social pull factors. Pull factors are something that pulls you out of your country and into the United States of America. The plan calls for an increase in U.S. funding for the United Nations High Commission for Refugees on the premise that the Western Hemisphere hosts 20% of the world's at-risk population, but only receives 8% of the United Nations High Commission for Refugees budget. This proposal from a top Democratic player, Senator Menendez, is the head of a Senate committee, and he is a top Democratic player in the immigration space, comes ahead of the May 11th deadline for the end of Title 42, a border management policy tied to the pandemic emergency. Administration officials have scrambled to find a replacement for Title 42, which allows officials to ignore asylum claims and quickly expel migrants at the border. The Menendez proposal also comes a day after Republicans unveiled their first comprehensive border plan. A 130-page bill due for consideration in the House Judiciary Committee on Wednesday. Menendez plans takes aim at some of these Republican immigration policies, including the practice by some Republican-led states to relocate migrants to Democratic-controlled cities, often without coordinating logistics. Under Menendez's plan, migrants would be relocated to their final destinations within the United States by federal authorities working in conjunction with the state and local governments. The plan reads, federal relocation by the Department of Homeland Security is needed to end the current challenge of states independently sending migrants to major urban centers without intergovernmental coordination. And in a controversial border policy that has been tied up in legal battle in the nation's high court, lawmakers and authorities are laying the framework on how to handle the expected surge of migrants in 3 weeks. Title 42, the Trump-era policy that allows border officials to turn away migrants at the southern border, has been used 2.9 million times since it was implemented in 2020 and is set to end on May 11th. The policy states that it may be lifted when the public health emergency is officially over. Well, the public emergency is over. The CDC director determined that the danger of further introduction of COVID-19 in the United States has declined. Now, the Biden administration temporarily lifted Title 42 through a CDC order, which led to a lawsuit from Republican states. However, via public health emergency declaration expiration, it will end automatically on May 11th. News Nation reported that the U.S. Department of Homeland Security is bracing for a potential surge of thousands or maybe tens of thousands of migrants at the southern border. As of last week, there are more than 25,000 people in ICE custody, 1,000 fewer than the week before, and ICE does not have the capacity to hold many more. Victor Avila, a retired ICE special agent, said agents are already implementing changes in the El Paso, Texas sector. Avila says he's spoken to agents in El Paso, and they're not having interviews. They have no ability to vet anybody because there's more than 1,000 people behind that person running into the country. Plus, the administration has told them, no, move them along, move them quickly. And by the way, that's what I'm seeing in my practice. Immigration is catching, holding, and releasing. They are not vetting anybody at this moment for asylum. Many clients I've spoken to, I said, did anybody even ask you about asylum? Did you get a credible fear interview? And I was told no, time and time and time again. They were held for 1, 2, 3 days and released and told they would be followed up with an immigration court hearing. At which point, all of these people would need to file for asylum and be granted asylum, or they would get deported. But the asylum check at the border, the credible fear interview, that's not happening. Multiple sources at the border confirm that sectors are preparing for a surge by putting up additional processing facilities. In the Yuma, Arizona area, tents are being put up, space is being cleared for staging areas. In the first 5 months of the fiscal year, U.S. Customs and Border Protection encountered more than 1.5 million people nationwide trying to cross the border without inspection. CBP has returned less than 500,000 people under Title 42, with 444,000 migrants removed without process. Last year, it expelled 1.1 million migrants without due process who entered illegally. The rest have been released and are awaiting court hearings. CBP confirmed it's no longer designating migrants as special interest, and that being from a special interest country is no longer grounds for deportation. And this week kicks off the We Love Immigrant New York City campaign. The Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs kicked off Immigrant Heritage Week by launching the We Love Immigrant New York City campaign. Manuel Castro, the commissioner of the New York City Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs, said our campaign, We Love Immigrant New York, looks to affirm and celebrate the contributions of all our immigrant communities. Immigrant Heritage Week is a week-long celebration commemorating the 116th anniversary of April 17th, 1907. That is the day in New York City on which the largest number of immigrants, 11,000, were legally allowed to enter the United States through Ellis Island, which is now closed. But years ago, 100 years ago, people would come by boat and they would process in Ellis Island and then be allowed to immigrate to the United States. It shines a spotlight on the contributions, history, and culture of the city's diverse immigrant communities through events and programs, including the release of 25 illustrations every week. New York City Public Library branches will host discussions about different ethnic communities. Mayor Eric Adams said Immigrant Heritage Week is a celebration of the countless contributions that immigrants have made, just like those who came to this country through Ellis Island looking for a better life and contributed to our city's cultural richness and economic prosperity. My great-grandparents all came through Ellis Island. Fun fact. And here's a nice story. 4 years ago, Trump's immigration policy tore this family apart, and now they're finally reunited. Neri Ortega Lima, a 47-year-old Guatemalan man living in Rhode Island, and his wife Lillian Yanis, 44, and their 3 youngest children were reunited just a few months ago for the first time in 4 years after being separated by Donald Trump's zero-tolerance policy at the U.S.-Mexico border. In 2018, Ortega Lima and his teenage son, Neri Jr., left Lillian and the 2 other children and trekked from Guatemala to escape the gang violence in their village. Neri Jr. was 14 but at only 13, a gang started threatening to kill him unless he joined the group. This left the family terrified. After a harrowing journey across Mexico, including being crammed by smugglers into a suffocating tractor trailer with other frightened migrants for a long journey with no food, water, or even a toilet, Neary Jr. and his father crossed into El Paso, Texas, and were quickly apprehended by Border Patrol. Ortega Lima told The Guardian he and Neary Jr. were detained with more than a dozen families. He recalled a very mean lady coming into the room and yelling, "You're all being deported!" explaining Trump's zero tolerance policy that criminalized unauthorized border crossings, jailed adults, separated them from their children or babies. The father only had a few moments to say goodbye to his son. Ortega Lima was then jailed, left his child within minutes, chained by hand, chained at the foot, and unable to find out for 10 days what happened to his son, Neary Jr. Neary Jr., unbeknownst to his father, was taken to a shelter in New York City, 2,000 miles away from the Texas border. And after a month in a very crowded, freezing cell that Neary Jr., aged 13 years old, compared to an icebox, the father was deported. I'm sorry, Neary was in the icebox, and he was deported, leaving Neary Jr. in the shelter 2,000 miles away in New York City. 4 months, this child stayed in the shelter in New York City, and finally, his older sister, an adult who was then married to a U.S. citizen, who lived in Rhode Island, 4 months later found out where her brother was after searching for 4 months, and got him out of the shelter and took her 13-year-old brother with her to Rhode Island. In September 2018, Ortega Lima, he's the father, was offered a chance to make an asylum request at the border with the nonprofit AI Otro Lado, which translates to the other side, or Al Otro Lado. After a long process, he was approved for entry into the United States with the other parents who had been separated from their children under the Trump administration. Neary Jr. and his Ortega Lima and his son and his father, Ortega Lima, remembered April 14, 2019 as one of the best days of their lives when they were finally reunited. The teenager came home after classes at one of Rhode Island's public school newcomer programs, not knowing his father was waiting there to surprise him. In 2021, the new administration of Joe Biden established a family reunification task force after more than 3,900 children were separated from their families between January 2017 and January 2021. The task force partnered with nonprofits like Al Otro Lado to reach out to families in Central America and help them reunite in the United States. Advocates implored the authorities to allow husband and wife, their other teenage sons, Dubless, Advocates implored the authorities to allow husband and wife, their other teenage son, Dubless, 13, and Layla, 9, to be reunited in America. Dubless made it in first, and finally, in January of this year, Giannis and Layla boarded a plane to Boston. Giannis is exploring English classes and waiting for her work permit. Neary Jr. had dropped out of class to work at a car wash to pay the bills, while Ortega Lima initially suffered from vertigo. Doctors suggested his vertigo was caused by stress of the separation. He improved with treatment and is working in construction now, while Neary Jr. is still at the car wash every day. 9-year-old Layla is already dreaming about being a nurse. Neary Jr. wants to save up to buy himself a Dodge Charger someday. Their asylum cases are pending. Giannis says she's just grateful she can cook her Guatemalan pescado seco fish for the family again. She noted earnestly that the U.S. is a hard country to get into. And finally, ending a 30-year saga, this is another nice story, a judge ruled Haitian activists targeted by ICE should not face deportation ever again. Immigrant activist John Montreville is the co-founder of the New Sanctuary Coalition, a nonprofit organization that works with immigrants facing detention and deportation. John himself was deported to Haiti in January 2018 for a 30-year-old aggravated felony charge. He and his supporters say he'd been targeted for his activism by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. John is the father of 4 U.S. citizen children, one of whom, his son Josiah, is also a cancer survivor. We had Gene's family on Bradshaw Live as he was being held in ICE detention right before his deportation. Then in October 2021, Gene was given a second chance when Virginia Governor Ralph Northam granted him a pardon for the 2 drug convictions that ICE had used as a pretext to deport him. This gave Gene the opportunity to seek to reopen his case and regain his legal immigration status. He was allowed to return to the United States on a 90-day special parole. We spoke with Gene and his family again at his church, Judson Memorial Church in Washington Square, New York City, where a celebration of his return took place. But Gene had to continue to fight to remain with his family in New York, and the threat of deportation continued to hang over his head. Until Tuesday, April 18th, when an immigration judge ruled that Gene will no longer face deportation. In a courtroom packed with supporters, the judge told Gene, "I want you to know I see the good in you, too." In an interview with Democracy Now! After the decision, Gene said he will probably apply for citizenship now, saying, "I've been here for almost 40 years. This is the only country that I know." Gene was convicted in 1989 in the state of Virginia on drug charges. He was arrested with his friend. They didn't catch him in the act of doing anything. He was just in a hotel with him. He'd gone to the store to get a bite to eat, and when he came back, the police were there. They asked if he was staying with his friend. He said yes, so they arrested both of them. It was his first offense. He was 18 years old at the time, and he was given 33 years in jail. Gene served 11 of those years, and while still incarcerated, the Bush administration changed immigration laws to include aggravated felony as a means of deportation. They charged Gene with an aggravated felony retroactively, even though when he was arrested at age 18, the term aggravated felony had no meaning because it wasn't even in the law. But after Gene served his time, went through parole, married, had children, started a business, decades later, 30 years later, he was deported. Now, Gene's story finally has a happy ending, and we're thrilled for him and his family. And his story shows how being arrested or convicted of a crime can affect your immigration status in the United States, and why it's very important for anyone who has been arrested or charged with a crime to consult a very good immigration attorney, as well as a good criminal defense attorney, to find out exactly how these cases could affect your immigration status. When we spoke with Gene in 2021, this is before he knew that his case would be over and he was fighting it out, he told us what his American dream is. And here's what he had to say.
My dream has always been the same. Watch my kids grow up. Be there for them, to support them in any way that I can. And then watch them. I mean, my life basically has been over already. It's all about the kids. Once you start having kids, it's all about them. And I love my kids dearly. They love me to death. And I'm here for them. And, watch my daughter, graduate from high school, and hopefully to college, see her raise her own family. That would be my dream.
All right. It's nice. It's a nice story that eventually he's all resolved. And by the way, he's going to be able to be filed for his citizenship now. Because you want to know why? Because although he's an aggravated felon, and generally aggravated felons are deportable and can't become a citizen, his aggravated felony was prior to November 17th, 1990. And if you have an aggravated felony prior to November 17th, 1990, you're still eligible to become a citizen, provided you otherwise have good moral character. We're going to get into our meat and potatoes now, answering your immigration questions. We still have open lines, so if you call right now, 1-800-529-5465, you'll be able to speak with me. And I'm going to start taking your calls in about 50 seconds from now. But in the meantime, I want to discuss a Spar and Bernstein success story about Jorge He moved to the United States from Ecuador in search of a better life. We're not going to do Jorge right now. We're going to go right into your telephone calls. All right, so let's go into telephone calls. We have a frozen computer. All right, go right into calls. We're going to go into Andre from the Bronx. Andre, how are you?
I'm good. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good. What's going on?
So, I recently got married, and I want to file for adjustment of status for myself and my daughter. So, the document I need to file, could you confirm for me? And I have the I-130, the I-485, the 765, and the 864.
You have, all right, let's start again. How did you come to the United States?
On a visa, B1.
Okay.
And you're
married to a U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir.
And you said it's for you and how many children?
My daughter, she just turned 18.
Cool. Was the marriage before she turned 18?
Yes, sir. Like a month before. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So for you, you're going to file an I-485 that you're going to sign.
Okay.
An I-130 visa petition that your wife is going to sign.
Okay.
An I-130A that you're going to sign.
Okay.
I-765 work permit you're going to sign.
Okay.
An I-131 advanced parole you're going to sign.
Okay.
An I-864 by your wife, that's the affidavit of support, that she will sign.
Okay.
And you're going to file that with $1,760 filing fee. That's for you.
Okay.
For your daughter, it's the same exact thing, the same exact set of forms, except she doesn't need the I-130A.
Copy.
She's also going to pay $1,760 in filing fees. Word to the wise, Andre.
Yes.
The filing fees are supposed to go up sometime after mid-May. We don't know the exact date. The filing fee, based on the Federal Register, it could change, but right now it's going up from $1,760 to $3,520 a person. So if you file now in the next few weeks, between you and your daughter, you're going to save over $3,500 in filing fees.
Thank you for that information.
Okay. Anything else before I say goodbye?
Yes. So let me just go over it before you go. The I-130A for me, the I-130, the I-485, the I-765, the I-864, and the I-131. And
correct.
All the same document except the I-130A for my daughter.
Correct.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for that information. I appreciate you.
All right. Good luck. All right. Let's go to Daniel in Chicago. Daniel.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brad.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I have a question regarding my form. So basically, I'm approved asylee who's been granted asylum more than 1 year ago, and I applied for a green card. But the thing is that I noticed in my old form that was already adjudicated, I-589, I made a minor mistake in the field for address history. I put the wrong date where I used to live like 20 years ago. I was like a kid, I was like 3 years old. So I think that's a minor mistake. So I corrected that mistake in form I-485. I'm just wondering if I need to let USCIS know about that discrepancy or do anything about it.
I don't think you have to. I think if it comes up as an issue at your interview, you can just say, I realized there was an error on the address from 20 years ago. I just wanted to be more accurate and correct. But I don't see that as an issue.
I was told that I'm not gonna have most likely an interview. Like, do you think that
probably not? Probably not. Unless somebody, if you get an interview, it's going to probably be because somebody sees this discrepancy in the address and wants to ask you about it, and you'll just tell them exactly what you told me, and that's perfectly fine.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Brad. That's everything I needed to know.
All right, good luck. Let's go to Yusef in Orlando. Yusef.
Hi. Good evening, Mr. Brad. How are you? I'm good. Good. So I was charged with the marriage fraud back in 2018 with the immigration court. So let's jump straight to what happened in that on the muster hearing, calendar hearing. So the government attorney presented a copy of the FDNS to the judge and another copy to my attorney. The Homeland, all those questions, I answer all those questions with the best of my knowledge. And of course, the judge called me a liar because he said I was lying on what's on the report when I was answering the questions. So I didn't have a copy in my hand, so I wasn't telling. I was telling the truth. Actually, I wasn't lying. So he believed that I was giving a false testimony, and in fact, my lawyer requested a continuance, but it was rejected by the judge. So I received, at the end of the muster hearing, I received the final order of the deportation. That was in December 17th,
So, all right, Yusef.
2018.
Yusef. All right, Yusef.
Yes.
All right. What you went? The judge believed you committed marriage fraud.
Yes.
Okay, and you got ordered deported.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the evidence that they presented that you committed marriage fraud?
They had a report, like the FDNS report.
What was in that report?
They were saying that I was with another lady, and that lady, she came
all right, this is the bottom line. If you are charged with marriage fraud, that you committed a business marriage, you married someone not for love, that bars you from getting a green card for the rest of your life. The time for you to have argued it out is before an immigration judge. Now, you lost that argument. Now, the only thing you can do is, one, remarry somebody else. Two, get an I-130 approved with overwhelming evidence that you did not commit marriage fraud.
Okay.
Get that I-130 approved, and then try to reopen your case with that same overwhelming evidence.
Okay.
If you committed marriage fraud, you're never going to get your case reopened. If you know in your heart, it was a real marriage, then it's worth looking into. Hold on one second.
Absolutely.
Hold on. All right, let's go to Chantel in Long Island. Chantel.
All right. Hello.
Hi, Chantel.
Hi. Hi, Brad. I just wanted to. Hi. Hello.
I'm listening.
Okay. I just wanted to ask two questions. Upon filing the I-130, what I wanted to ask you is, when you're married, should you file the I-130, the I-145, and the I-176 at once?
Yes.
Okay.
You should.
And
if you're married, the biggest mistake you can make is if you're married to a U.S. citizen and you're in the United States, to just file an I-130 visa petition. Because if you just file the I-130 visa petition and nothing else, you know what's going to happen? Nothing. Nothing will happen for you. In order for something to happen for you, you need to file the I-130 and the adjustment. Then you get your fingerprints. Then you get your work permit. Then you get your travel document. then you get an interview for a green card.
Okay. Also, I wanted to ask you, upon filing these documents, should I submit the evidence at once, or should I just wait for USCIS to request
No,
the evidence?
submit all the evidence of the bona fides of your marriage up front. If you submit enough of it these days, in the past, my advice was always, you don't have to submit any evidence of bona fides of the marriage. You're going to get an interview. Just bring it all to the interview. Now, recently, if you file your adjustment application based on marriage and you upfront submit all the bona fides of the marriage and you submit a really good job of it, you do a really good job of it, they will waive the interview. So do it up front.
Okay. Okay. Also wanted to ask you, what if I have a son that is a U.S. citizen born, but I'm not a U.S. citizen born. I'm actually filing with my husband. Like, how does that affect the case?
It doesn't unless the son was born to another man while you were married to your husband.
No, he wasn't.
So then that has no effect.
Okay. Thank you so much, Brad.
All right. Let's go to Moha in Los Angeles. Moha.
Yes. Hello?
Yeah, hi, Moha.
Can you hear me?
Moha,
Hello?
I'm listening. I'm listening to you, Moha.
Yes, so me and my wife, we got married. We've been together since 2016. We got married in 2017. I love her. She loves me. We were living together. In 2020, we applied for the 10-year green card. And then in the end of 2020, I found out she was cheating. She didn't want to be married no more. And I grabbed the screenshots and everything. And she said, hey, I want to move on. I don't want to be married, baby. I changed my mind. So we moved on peacefully. But then this whole 3 years, I've been waiting for my green card to get approved for the 10-year. Still haven't got approved. Is it possible for me to apply for the citizenship? Or what's the next step?
You still have a pending I-751.
Yes.
Did you get divorced from this woman?
We're just getting divorced.
I'm sorry?
We're about to get divorced now.
Okay. There's nothing you can do until you are divorced.
Okay.
Once you are divorced, you do this order. Okay. Well, first of all, if you get an interview right now and you're not divorced, you're going to get denied. So getting divorced is like your number one priority right now.
Okay.
Because hear me out. If you get an interview and you are not living with your spouse, you will be denied. Point blank.
Okay.
Okay. Even though it was a real marriage in the past. Because if you're filing based on an I-751 of a joint marriage, you and your wife, if there's an interview, have to show up for this interview, and you and your wife have to prove you are living together today. So if your interview was tomorrow, for example, you have to prove on April 25th, 2023, you and your wife live together, and you don't. So you'd either be going and telling the truth, we don't live together, and you'll be denied, or you're going to go and lie. And that's the worst thing you can do when you can tell the truth and get a green card. So how do you deal with this? You get a divorce. And once you are divorced, you can submit what's called a waiver application. And it's just done on paper. There's no actual form. And you ask for a waiver of the joint requirement to file together because you're now divorced. As soon as you do that, your wife comes off the case. Now you get an interview. You don't have to prove you and your wife lived together today on April 25th. You have to prove back in the day, 2020, 2021, 2019, we were in love. Then she cheated on me, and then we parted ways.
Right.
And you're telling the
truth. I can prove that.
Right. And then you're telling the truth.
Right.
Once you are divorced, and once you make the waiver application, now your case you've had a conditional resident now for more than 5 years. Now it is safe to file your citizenship because you can go and do everything, tell the truth, and get your 10-year in citizenship all in one time.
Okay, awesome. Because I was going to ask you, can I apply for the citizenship now? Because they haven't responded to my
Get
message.
divorced, get your case in order first, and then do it.
Okay, because I'm so frustrated because 3 years they haven't responded to it, and then now
it's taking almost 4 now, and you should be thankful now that you spoke to me that they haven't responded, because if they did, you would have been denied and possibly looking at deportation. So the fact that they delayed you gave you an opportunity to figure out what you were supposed to do, get divorced, and fix it.
Yeah, so she said she was going to apply for the divorce papers. She want to do it ASAP. I'm like, okay, do what you got to do. We're not together. You don't want to be with me, so bye.
Let me make this suggestion to you. This is your life and your ability to live in the United States of America.
Yes.
Don't rely on your ex-wife to do a divorce. Whether if you're divorced in 2 years or 3 years, she doesn't care, but you will, because you're going to get your case denied. You do the divorce. You be in charge of it. You take care of it. You be the master of your own domain.
Okay.
Understood?
And once I get the divorce papers, that's when I can apply for the waiver.
Correct. And then citizenship. Correct.
Got you.
What you do is this.
Thank you so much.
Get divorced. Call me for a consultation. I'll tell you what to do.
Okay, I will. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Melanie.
Yes.
Hi, Melanie. How are you?
Good. And yourself?
Good.
Okay. So the question would be, this is going to be for my husband, to see if he will be a proper candidate for PD. He arrived to this country in 92 on a raft from Cuba. He was given his residency at the time of arrival. In 2000, he had a situation and he went to federal prison for 5 years in Texas. We live in Miami, Florida. His charges were 1,500 pounds of marijuana, possession with intent to distribute. He did his 5 years, and from there he went in front of an immigration judge who put him up for final deportation due to being Cuban and not being a citizen. He was only a resident. We did our I-130, and it was approved back in 2017. I, from there, submitted the I-485 to change of status, and they denied it due to the final deportation. Would he be a PD candidate?
No. You're not going to get prosecutorial discretion because your husband was basically arrested for drug trafficking. And prosecutorial discretion is discretion by the prosecutor for humanitarian reasons to keep families together. And nobody is going to go out on a limb for your husband who went to jail for 5 years for drugs.
Right.
What he can do is apply for something called Convention Against Torture. This would be the only thing he can do, which is prove his life is in danger if he goes back to Cuba. If he can prove his life is in danger if he goes back to Cuba, either because the Cuban government is going to go after him or people that the Cuban government cannot control will go after him, then he gets Convention Against Torture. The government is not going to send him home to get tortured, killed, maimed, hurt, etc. That's the only thing you can do. Now, whether that's true or not, whether he can make that claim or not, you guys got to sit down and say, okay, who's out to get him in Cuba? How would his life be? Who would do what to him? But if you are being deported for a drug trafficking charge, that's what you got. Nothing else. Unless he had a green card and his parents were citizens before he was 18.
No, his parents, his father came here and went to World War II, and he went back to Cuba, but he did not become a citizen of the United States. And his mother came later on after the years, but she didn't become a citizen because she passed away. So she was only a resident, and he didn't become a resident.
So then it's Convention Against Torture or nothing.
Okay, he did leave active from the military in Cuba 32 years ago when he came to this country. That I do have on his FOIA.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
saying that.
I'm not an expert in Cuban country conditions. I don't know what the government's doing to deportees off the top of my head. We can certainly research all of this.
Okay.
But I don't know off the top of my head, somebody who deserted the army 30 years ago, what are they going to do? I don't know.
Right.
We got to figure it out.
Having an approved I-130, then would that help him at all with anything?
No. It's an absolute waste of time and effort.
Got it.
It's
Okay.
Convention Against Torture or nothing.
Got it. All right. I'll call your office and thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Let's go to Kay in Chicago. Kay.
Hey, Brad.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Basically, I have a deportation order, like 10 years old, like from 2012. And after like 25 months waiting for my I-730, my wife, she's an asylee, and she petitioned for me, and this is approved like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, great.
Based on like new memo from USCIS that I can file for green card right after you get asylee status, right? So can I file for my green card also at the
Did
same
you reopen
time?
your deportation case?
Yeah, I told my lawyer that let's ask ICE to join our motion, but he's saying like
And
no,
they
we
did
don't want to ask ICE, and he told me like he will do like sua sponte.
No.
Sua sponte is kind of
No, do a joint motion. Do a joint motion. You have to do it. You have to reopen in order for you to get your green card. You have to reopen your deportation case, and you should do it as a joint motion. It's my advice.
Yeah, he's saying that for joint motion you need to wait another like 1 year to respond, just to get response from government. And he's saying that you have an asylee status, so they will terminate your deportation order without any issue if you do sua sponte.
I mean, you can certainly try, but if you get the trial attorneys to agree, it's a lot easier.
Nowadays in Chicago, how many days they will respond to join in motion if they want to?
I don't know. I would do it as a joint motion. It's my opinion.
What about my green card? I can get my green card, right? Even I can get my green card.
You can't get your green card until your case is reopened.
I will get my green card after my case is terminated, or I can get it before that?
After your case is terminated.
After it's terminated? Okay. Thank you.
All right. Renardo in Queens. Renardo in Queens. Renardo going once?
Yes, I'm here. You got me?
There you are. Okay. What's up?
Yes. The question, am I on the air?
You're on the air.
Hello. Yes, so the question I have is that I would like to take over a adoption sibling petition. I just want to know the time frame for doing that petition. My mom adopted her grandkid. She's now deceased. And we'd like to take it over as sibling petition adopted kids. They're all over the age of 18 and married.
I don't even understand what you're asking me. Who died?
So my mom adopted her grandkid and she died. So either my sister or myself.
Where are the grandkids?
They're in Jamaica. She was living in
Did mom file visa petitions for them?
Yeah, yes, we had a visa petition, but two of them was one was for
were the visa petitions approved?
No, they were up for the two we're trying to do. They were denied for those two.
If the visa petition was denied, then there's nothing you can do. If the visa petition was approved, you can substitute in as a close family member. But if the visa petition was denied, there's no substitution.
So the visa petition was denied again probably about 10 years ago.
Yeah, so there's nothing you can do. Why was it denied? Because mom died?
Well, one of the child was tested positive for weed at the time. He was still under 18.
Oh, I see. So, in other words, the I-130 was approved.
Yeah, but
wait, Nardo. We're having two different conversations. I said, was the visa petition approved? And you said no. And then you said one of the kids got denied for smoking weed. That means the visa petition was approved. It got transferred to Kingston, and he got denied for his medical report.
Yes, correct. That's correct.
Okay, so if there was an approved visa petition and it still was active when mom passed, then you can substitute in for somebody else. I think what we would need to do is get all the records first. Okay, just make sure everything was approved, and then mom passed. Then we can have a brother or a sister substitute in.
Well, his medical was denied before she passed.
It was denied for weed, and then they said you can come back 3 years later. And did he come back?
Yes, he had exhausted all the chances he got. Every time he went, he failed.
Well, if there was,
all
right, well then
he aged out.
Probably not.
My mom
Renato, probably not. If the case has been outright denied, the substitution happens after the visa petition is approved and before there's a final decision ever in the case. If there's a final decision, he went back time and time and time again, and the guy never learned, and there's weed in the system time and time and time again, eventually they're going to say, sorry, buddy, you can't come. And then mom passed away. Well, the case was denied before mom passed away. There's nothing you can do. Hold on 1 second. We'll get, if you want, you can get, we'll get the records and triple check all this. Donnelly in Saratoga Springs.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So my sister was filed for by my father with here, but then he filed for her with my other brothers, and when they were about to come, she got married, so her paper got pushed back. So now that she's about to divorce her husband, she wanted to find out if that will make it easier when she gets here.
Yes, because what do you mean when she gets here?
She have a visa. She lives in Jamaica, but she have a visa where she come and goes.
Well, assuming she gets divorced, and assuming she comes on a visa, and assuming she comes for the purposes of visiting, and assuming that she stays 90 days or more, and assuming after 90 days she changes her mind and wants to get her green card because she's now fully divorced, and assuming the priority dates are current, and assuming she files an adjustment application while she's in legal status, the answer is yes, she'll get a green card. But you know the old saying about assume. You assume too much, you make an ass out of you and me. That's ASSUME. You ever hear that? So I think let's double and triple check everything. Have a consultation with me, and then we'll figure it out. But sounds promising. All right, hold on. Let's go to James in Houston. James.
Hello.
Hi, James. James.
Yeah, hi.
James, I'm here.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Bright. Yeah,
What? Speak up, James. Speak up. I don't hear you.
I'm trying to connect from this Bluetooth. Can you hear me right now?
Now I hear you.
Okay. I was married, then I was in the deportation proceeding. After being in the deportation proceeding, the judge terminated my case. Then I went for interview and all of that. I was 30 years approved. Then before my green card will come out, my wife knows because I used to tell her everything the old development and all of that. So immediately I told her that, hey, we have to chill. Like my green card is coming up with this. But just because she was dating an African brother, then that they were as at a particular time, they made it quite unknown to me. This man was actually coming to see my wife and all of that. So when I actually told her like, hey, my green card is coming out soon, before I could know, she actually filed for divorce during that period. So in my mind, I was like, why would you do that? She filed for divorce, and how I knew was the fact that the divorce was served to me. You know, so
All
when
right,
I
so
saw
you're
the
so let me understand. You're in deportation, you're married, your wife starts seeing another man, and just when you are gonna get your interview for your green card, she divorces you.
yes, so
Okay.
yes, they
So
now
what,
divorced me.
what am I
So,
gonna do for you
well,
today? What's the question today?
okay, fortunately, my green card came out a week after she filed, after she served me a divorce. My 10-year green card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the question is, how does it go from there? Like, I mean,
Well,
I hope.
the issue is going to be when you file for your citizenship. They're going to say, let's
Okay.
look at your divorce, and it's going to show that you perhaps a divorce was started against you before your green card was issued to you. And it's very possible that they could, look into the validity of your marriage. So what I would suggest we do is request your immigration records, request your divorce records. Let's compare everything, and then decide what, if anything, you can do to remedy all of these issues. All right. So hold on 1 second. Let's go to Valeria in the Bronx. Valeria.
Hi. Good evening, Brad.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So I have two quick questions for you. The first one is, my friend who lives here in the U.S. is filing for his daughter in Jamaica, and she's 9. So the application was was received on July 7, 2022. The daughter has a U.S. B1, B2 visa and will be visiting. And because of circumstances, we're thinking that if the child stays here, can he change the filing to file for the daughter from here? How can that be done?
How old's the child now?
She will be 9 this year.
And this is a U.S. citizen parent?
No, green card holder.
Green card holder. When did the child come?
The child is not here yet. The child is in Jamaica, but it's coming up for the summer.
The answer is we don't know until the child shows up. Because in order for the child to adjust his or her status in the United States, the adjustment based on the parent being a green card holder, the adjustment has to happen while the child is in legal status, has to happen more than 90 days after entry and before the child falls out of status. And that depends on what the priority dates will be, whether USCIS will allow adjustment of status for priority dates that are basically current at that moment. Because right now, for example, if you look at the visa bulletin for getting a green card through the F2A category, which is child of a lawful resident in another country, is back in 2021. But for adjustment of status, it's current. So at what point will USCIS put it back to 2021? I don't know the answer to that yet. So until the child comes up, we don't know.
Okay. And the second one is for asylum national who came to the U.S.
For what national?
Thailand. Someone from Thailand.
Thailand. Okay.
And she came on a J1 visa, and she is currently undocumented. If she gets married to a U.S. citizen, can she adjust her status?
If she had a 2-year home residence requirement attached to the J visa, she would need to get a waiver of that first and then adjust. But the answer is yes, there's a pathway for her to get a green card through marriage to a U.S. citizen.
Okay, thank you so much, Brad.
Let's go to Maria in Kingston. Maria. Hi, Maria. Maria? Maria.
Yes,
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How can I help you?
So, my question is, I am a J1 student who recently got married, and my husband is a U.S. citizen, and he wants to file for me. But the thing is, I traveled on the J1 program, and I want to know if it will mess with me traveling.
Well, if you get married to a U.S. citizen, you're going to get a green card, so who cares about your J visa anymore?
No,
But
I'm living in Jamaica. I'm living in Jamaica.
I understand. Okay. So you're going to come back on the J visa?
Yes, because I use it to finish college. I want to finish college, so I travel on the J1 visa, so I
Do you
could
have
finish.
do you have a 2-year home residence requirement?
A 2-year home residence?
Yeah.
I
Is
don't-
it subject to section 212E or no? You're not sure.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Is your visa valid? Do you need to go back to the embassy for any reason for it?
Yes, like each time I'm going, I need to go back to the embassy.
Well,
to
yeah,
get
if you're married to a U.S. citizen, it could affect whether they'll issue it to you or not.
Okay. So it's not a good idea to do that then. Another question, if that's okay. How long do you think that you should wait before filing the documents after marriage?
Immediately. There's no reason to wait.
Okay. And what are the documents required, if it is possible?
I
to
don't know.
ask?
I don't know what you're doing. Are you going to get married in the United States and adjust your status in the U.S.? Are you going to get married in the United States and go home? Are you going to stay in Jamaica and he's going to come and marry you and you're going to wait there? I don't know what you're doing.
I'm already married. He came to Jamaica and we got married.
Okay. So if he's going to do that, then he has to file an I-130 visa petition for you.
I-130. And if I have kids that does not belong to him?
Then separate I-130 visa petitions for each of them.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, let's go to Jason in Trenton, New Jersey. Jason.
Yes.
Hi, Jason.
Hi.
You're on live, Jason.
Yes, I want to know how can I deal with the waiver for my child who is currently in the U.S. I'm a green card holder, and I would want to adjust status. I know I can't because I'm not a U.S. citizen. So is there a waiver because I'm a single father and there's no way the child could go back to Jamaica to deal with adjustment of status? Like, is there a waiver?
How old is the child?
She's 10.
Where's the mother?
I don't know.
Disappeared.
Yeah, she disappeared.
All right. How did you get your green card?
From my son.
From your son. All right. This is what you're going to do.
Yeah.
You're not going to file for your child. Instead, your child's going to file on his or her own as a special immigrant juvenile. And what you're going to do is go into family court and you're going to get legal guardianship of your child. Even though you're already the child's legal guardian, you're going to do it again. And as part of the legal guardianship process, you're going to tell the family court judge what you just told me. The child has nowhere to go back to Jamaica. The mother has disappeared. The mother's not in this child's life. And if this child were to go back to Jamaica, the child would be living on the streets.
Yeah.
And the judge will give you legal guardianship and make a special ruling that it's not in this child's best interest to return to Jamaica for any reason. Once you get that, the child can adjust status here.
And I'd have to use an attorney to do that, right?
Yes.
To get to the court and all.
Yes. To get the special ruling. That's the way to do it.
Okay.
All right. Hold on.
What's the time frame for it?
It takes about 3 to 4 months for the guardianship and 1 year for an adjustment. It's actually faster than just doing a regular filing.
That's good.
All right. Hold on.
I didn't know.
Yep. Now you do.
Thank you.
Hold on. Let's go to Rosanna in Syracuse. Rosanna.
Hello.
Hi, Rosanna.
No, this is Roxanne.
Oh, Roxanne. Roxana.
Yes.
Roxana.
My apologies. The X looked like an S to me. I can't see
Okay.
it. What's up, Roxana? How can I help you?
Let me go ahead. Roxanne.
Roxana.
Yeah. Sir, I am Roxanne's mother. I've filed for her from 2016. I filed for her.
Mom, why don't you tell everyone to stop walking in and out of the car so I can hear you. Just stop what you're doing. Stop
can
with
you
the
hear me now?
cars. Stop with the opening the doors. Let me hear you. I can help you. Other than that, I can't help you.
Roxanne, you can speak now? Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I was somewhere. So my parents filed for me. I'm an international student. I did OPT, and there is a 60-day grace period. The 60-day grace period has ended, so I'm basically out of status. Now I'm waiting on my date from Jamaica to do my interview, but Jamaica has a backlog. And I was wondering, can I apply to a school so that I'm back in F1 status?
Why didn't you just file your adjustment here while you were in legal status?
Right, I wasn't aware of it. I found out after I was out of status.
How long have you been out of status?
It's just been a few days. I want to say about 7 days.
You can get into a new school program, and you can try to request a reinstatement. There's no guarantee of success, but if it's successful, then you'll be back in legal status. And assuming your priority date's current, then you'll adjust. You have to do it quickly in less than 180
I was
days.
told that I can do a travel and re-entry.
Yeah, you can leave the U.S., try to get a new student visa to come back, but I don't know if they'll give it to you or not because they're going to show you have immigrant intent because you have a green card interview waiting for you in Jamaica, number one, and number two, you've been out of status already for 7 days.
Roxanne, explain the green card. They don't have a green card. So I'm waiting for the interview.
Roxanne,
for the
I
green card.
understand. You go to the embassy in Jamaica, they're going to say, you're eligible for your green card. We're not going to give you a student visa. We think you're going to go back and adjust your status in the United States. Wait in Jamaica for your green card. That's what they're going to say.
Okay, so my student visa hasn't expired yet.
But it doesn't matter. You're out of Roxana. Listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. You are out of status. It doesn't matter what your visa says. If you go back to Jamaica, you will wait in Jamaica for your green card interview. Hopefully it comes soon. If you want, you can quickly try to reinstate your status and get into a new school.
Okay.
Hold on. Jessica Leamy. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Fiona Thompson. Fiona Thompson. Roxanne about to get Brad mad. It was annoying with the car doors back and forth. I couldn't hear what they were saying. And they weren't listening to me. All right, we're going to get into social media check-in shortly. Let's see. Are we ready to do... We have our computers working now. Let's see. Yes. All right. So Jorge moved to the United States from Ecuador in search of a better life, living undocumented for 24 years. When his daughter turned 21, she filed for him, but he was barred for life from adjusting his status because of his entry without inspection. That's when Spar and Bernstein attorney Marina Brakefield sprang into action to find Jorge a path to legal status. Marina discovered that Jorge was eligible for his green card under INA 245I, a leftover law from the 1990s. Jorge was able to pay a penalty fee, and less than a year later, after he sat down for a consultation, Jorge received his green card, no interview, no stress, and he spoke about his experience working with Spar and Bernstein when he came to pick up his green card. Let's watch.
Que muchas gracias por todo, abogada, aquí por un sueño hecho realidad. A los 24 años de adquirir algo que me esperé tanto tiempo. Gracias a la abogada Marina, aquí es su patrón. Muchísimas gracias. Le recomiendo que esta es realidad, un sueño que se me cumplió y estoy muy feliz y muy feliz. Gracias.
Congratulations.
Felicidades.
Thank you. And if you want to be muy feliz too and know what your options are, have a consultation with me. Together, we will try to find a path to legal status. You can call us at 1-800-529-5465, internationally, +1 212-227-8933. And now it may be a lot easier for you. You can go to our website at www.lawsb.com. And if you go to our website at www.lawsb.com, right from any page on our website, you can send us a text message and we will get in touch with you as well. Sometimes 90% of the people like to text over call these days, I know. So now we offer that as well. You can just go right on your phone, go to lawsb.com and text us. It's not a form, just literally a text message right off your phone. All right. Also, I got to remind everybody to follow us on Instagram at Brad Show Live. If you don't like 2 hours of Brad, but can handle 2 minutes of me, follow me on Brad Show Live on Instagram. You can also leave your questions on Brad Show Live at TikTok. It's our fastest growing social media platform. And if you're lucky enough for me to see your question, you will get a personalized video answering your question for the entire world to see on TikTok. And of course, you can catch the latest segments from Brad Show Live on at Brad Show Live on Twitter. So follow us on Twitter as well. And of course, subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Facebook so you can get notifications every time we come on live every Monday at or around 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. And in about 2 minutes, I'm going to be answering your social media questions. So leave all of your immigration questions in the comments section of either Facebook or YouTube. I will answer your immigration questions. So please leave your immigration questions there right now. I will answer them in about 2 minutes. But right now, I do have to remind everybody that Spar and Bernstein handles personal injury claims as well as immigration cases. It's always a good idea to know what to do and who to turn to if you're injured in an auto accident. So in today's personal injury motor vehicle accident video series, I'll tell you what Spar and Bernstein attorneys will do for you in your motor vehicle accident case and whether you can hire a motor vehicle accident attorney if you cannot afford legal services. Let's watch.
Our experienced team will be by your side during the challenging post-accident period. We will define liability, gather evidence, calculate losses, advise you on filing a claim or a lawsuit, communicate with insurance companies, draft and file insurance claims, draft and file lawsuits, secure your legal representation, defend your rights, take your case to trial if necessary, negotiate settlements. We will fight to ensure you receive the maximum compensation to improve your physical and psychological recovery. At Spar and Bernstein, we do not require an upfront payment. Once we reach a settlement or win your case, you pay only a percentage of the net compensation you receive. The fee is due only if and when we reach a successful outcome. We ensure that regardless of your financial standing, you will receive adequate legal representation. To lay the foundation of our client-attorney relationship, we offer a free initial consultation to discuss your case and provide our transparent recommendations for next steps. Contact us at Spar and Bernstein for a free consultation regarding your case.
All righty then. So we are ready to do social media check-in. Let's do it. All right. So as always, we answer our first 5 questions from our Facebook VIP page. If you want to be ensured of getting your questions answered in our social media check-in segment, please join our VIP page on Facebook and leave your questions there. Our first question on our fan VIP page comes from Crystal Perry, who asks, how long after biometrics does an I-45 family-based application take? Usually 6 to 9 months after the biometrics are done. Usually, not 6 to 9 months. 6 to 9 months after you get your work permit, you would get an interview for your green card. After your biometrics is done, it's probably about 9 or 10 months for your interview. Leona Brown, do children under 18 living outside of the United States, the father's a U.S. citizen by naturalization, are they exempt from the I-864 form? They are exempt if the father's filing a visa petition, because when they enter the United States, they're going to become automatic U.S. citizens. Julius Kwesi Apong, can you file for adjustment of status under a B1, B2 to an F1 student visa? Not adjustment, you would be a change of status. And then if you already filed for it, can you still stay in the country after your time expires to wait the final verdict? You can stay up to 180 days past the expiration, but you can't wait forever. Lisa Lee Frater Dale, is it advisable to send I-864 documents along with the I-130 overseas application, or when it reaches the NVC level? When it reaches the NVC level. Sean Field, after 2 years of no movement in the visa bulletin, the visa bulletin has moved. What do you expect to happen in the near future with the visa bulletin? It's going to be like a turtle. Think of turtle, unfortunately. Stacy Squire, can an American citizen grandson file for his grandmother? No. We won't even go any further than that. Grandson cannot file for grandma. All right, let's go to our social media check-in on our Facebook and YouTube comment section. Remember, leave your questions. I'll try to answer it as best as I can. Ari asks, hey, question. My sister has a daughter with Down syndrome, but she's going to start working. Can my wife that has no visa get a humanitarian visa to take care of her niece? I doubt it. I doubt that the sister's going to be able to come to take care of her niece so the wife can work. It's not a reason for a humanitarian visa. Hi, Brad. I got a green card 5 years ago. I only spent 6 to 7 months in the USA. Can I file for citizenship now? No. In order to become a citizen, you have to be 30 out of 60 months in the USA for the last 5 years. Alexia Davis, recently got my 10-year green card, been married for 2 years. When can I apply for my citizenship? 3 years after you got your 10-year green card, provided you're still in a bona fide marriage to your spouse. Jiwa Hakim, how long does it take to get an employment authorization card in New York after biometrics in January? In a VAWA case. If you took your biometrics in January, you should have your work permit sometime over the summer. Arnand Bhatti, hi, Brad. I have an I-360 approved, but outside the country. What are my chances of coming back? I would say very good. You may have, unless you have a 3 or 10-year bar for unlawful presence, you may need a waiver. You may need a waiver for some other reasons, but you can process for a VAWA case outside of the U.S. So that's why I say very good. Moa, hey, me and my wife getting divorced, been waiting for my 10-year card. Can I apply for citizenship now? I spoke to Moa and I said, get divorced, then do the waiver, then do the citizenship. Miguel, how bad is a solicitation 7 years ago? Also, my preparer did write 3 boxes incorrectly. I realized later I'm waiting for my interview. Solicitation of a prostitute could be a crime, could be bad moral character, but it did happen 7 years ago, so I think you should be okay. BB, I-693 requested by email to mail it in. Do you think the interview will be waived? Yes, I do. Moa, I already spoke to him. Grace, I'm a client of yours and need to ask a question, but don't want to do so publicly, so I message you on Instagram. I will check, Grace. Debbie Clark, what is an RFE? When you file the adjustment of status and you're married, should you send the I-693 when you file your I-45 or wait until it is requested? Well, you should send the I-693 when you file the I-45. An RFE means you did not submit all the right documentation and they're asking for more. Saul Gara. Hi, Brad. Is there a mistake in a birth certificate and passport address? Does it affect the I-485? Of course, it could affect it, but it shouldn't get denied because you made a mistake. It could always be corrected. Maritza Valise. If an immigrant is married to a U.S. citizen and has been deported, been an abuser, can he get the residence? If you were deported, is married to a U.S. citizen, who was the abuser? The citizen, the person who got deported? I'm not sure what your question is, Maritza, so you got to be more clear. Chelsea, but to go back to Maritza, if you were deported and you don't have a criminal record and you're married to a U.S. citizen, you should be able to come back, if that helps you. All right. Chelsea, what happens to aged out child unmarried who was on her dad's petition? Back in 2017, the sister filed an F4 category petition and is currently waiting on a 601A waiver to be approved. Well, if the fee bills were paid and the child was still under 21 under the Child Status Protection Act, that child age is locked. So hopefully the waiver is approved. Make cash. How long do you wait for a U.S. citizen spouse who got married in the USA I-45 approval when you attended a marriage interview 2021 and you're invited for another interview? The answer is if you're invited for another interview, it's because you screwed up the first one. They don't believe it's a real marriage. So it depends on how well you do on the second one. Sounds like you're going to get a Stokes interview. Direct Morris. Hi, Brad. My sibling's been filed by my mom. They're approved 6 years now. My mom's a citizen. Should she update her status? Yes. She can update her status, although being filed for it in the F2B category is faster. So she can upgrade her status and then request that she remain in the F2B status. Mimi Brown. VAWA was approved in January. Both filed together. When can I expect my green card? By the end of the year. And let's see what else we got here. Janelle Smith. After married to a Canadian, how long does it take for the spousal application? Year and a half. Sonia Hutton, I got my green card 5 years ago. I spent 6 to 7 months in the U.S. Can I file for citizenship? I already answered that. No. Pettigay, is it true that you can only marry to an American citizen if you get an I-10? No. You can marry a U.S. citizen if you have a legal entry in the U.S. and you have a valid passport. And even if you don't have a legal entry, you can get married and do a provisional waiver. Boyana Jovic, my husband's citizen, sponsored for his wife. He died. She filed the I-751 waiver. The I-864 needs the affidavit of support. And what kind of documents what? My husband's a citizen, sponsored for his wife. He died. If this is your husband and the wife died, are you calling me from another world? Not from the United States? Not from Europe? Not from Asia, Africa? But from like heaven? What are you talking about? My husband's a citizen. He sponsored his wife and the wife died. That's you. I don't know what you're saying. Be more clear. Nuko Banga. I filed for my VAWA in October 2019 before the pandemic hit. I got my work permit last year in October and still waiting for my travel document. How long will I wait for my VAWA approval? The pandemic hit. You will not get a travel document until your VAWA is approved, and then you got to file an adjustment. Your VAWA should be adjudicated, whether it'll be approved or not, shortly. Been waiting 4 years already, so I'd assume soon. Daphne Hudson. Hi, Brad. My mom is Jamaican, as she is one of the old green cards. Can she come back to the U.S. after staying over a year? She would need to file for a SB1 visa. They're not going to allow her to come back on an old green card that has no expiration date after she's been out of the U.S. for more than a year. Get an SB1 visa at the U.S. Embassy. Janae Danner. Hi, Brad. Does the end of COVID emergency measures come May 11th mean that visitors can travel to USA thereafter without a COVID vaccination? No, it does not. This is the same question again, Boyana. Husband sponsored the wife, who was a citizen, died. I guess what you're saying, I'm reading it 5 times. Your husband's first wife died, and he filed the I-751 waiver, and you want to know, do you need an affidavit of support? You don't need to do anything for him. He has to wait for the I-751 waiver to be approved. I assume the question is, my husband was married to woman number 1. She died. He's now married to me, but he has filed an I-751 application to remove the conditions of his permanent residence based on the first marriage. You just have to wait on that. There's nothing for you to do at the moment. Mala Jagru, any news in the Registry Act? There's going to be no change in the Registry Act. Don't count on it. Scorpio King, good evening, Uncle Brad. It's been 9 months. Still haven't received my work permit based on marriage. Is that normal? If you did everything correctly, you should be getting it shortly. That's the best I can tell you. Nikki Smith, hi, Brad. How long would it take for a 26-year-old citizen daughter to file for her married mother and brother 16 years old? The mother will be about 1.5 years. The brother will be a decade or longer. Vivian, good day, sir. I filed for my husband in December 2020. Got the approval letter, but nothing more. What's the next step? Where's your husband? What approval letter did you get? You filed an I-130? Are you trying to file an adjustment for him? Is he in another country? Is he here? I need to know a lot more. Barbie, hi, Brad. I'm from Belize. I received my confirmation letter, I-130. How long till I get the interview at the Belize City Embassy? I don't know who's sponsoring you. Could be forever, could be tomorrow. I need to know a lot more. Carrie, time frame varies and she should be paying. I don't know. That's not even a question, Carrie. Daryl Winnabaugh, I'm an F1 student who changed his status within the United States. I applied for adjustment of status. If I receive my advance parole to visit my country, should I go to the embassy for the visa stamp or use the travel parole? You do not travel on a student visa anymore. Your student visa doesn't exist. You need advance parole. If you leave the country without advance parole, your adjustment is denied. Mika Hewitt, Brad, my friend just migrated here. Her mom filed for her. She now has a green card. Can she go back to Jamaica, marry and file her boyfriend and file for an immigrant visa for him? Yes, she can. It'll take about 2.5 years. Katie, VAWA was approved in January 2023. Both filed together. What's the average timeline for green card? By the end of the year, you should have it. Island Goddess, can a parent be a derivative of a U visa of someone over the age of 21? Can a parent be a derivative of a U visa of someone over the age of 21? No, they cannot. Michael Graham, hi, Brad. I filed my I-130 visa petition in February 2023, and then my adjustment on March 29th. That's not a question. I'm going to stop right now and ask Jeremy to make sure that you get me the right questions, please. It's too many already. Yvonne, hello, Brad. How do you go about getting your I-94? You have to go online and go to Google I-94 arrival departure record. And when you Google it, you'll come up to, it'll say I-94 DHS dot I-94 dot something or other. Just Google I-94 online. It's the first thing from DHS. You'll find it. It's the website. Stacy Ann. Hi, Mr. Brad. My husband and I would like to adopt my goddaughter who's 7 and who's also my little cousin. Her mom died 4 years ago. Her dad has agreed to the adoption. What's the best way forward? You need to contact you have to do it as an orphan petition, and you would need to contact a adoption agency to deal with it now, because adoption agencies are the only ones who can do orphan petitions. If you go to adopt a child in another country, they will not come here because the child's not orphaned. The father's agreed to it. So you have to strip both the father of the parental rights. The mother has to obviously be passed away, and you have to go through an adoption agency. But you can call me and I can give you the blow by blow of what to do. Can lawyers do anything to speed up the process at USCIS for an I-130? Yes, they can. Sravin Kumar Reddy. I have a VAWA green card interview. What type of questions they will ask and when to file a green card. My address is Kentucky, and then the address is in a different statement. My interview's in Kentucky. I have a VAWA green card interview. What type of questions they will ask and when to file my green card is in Kentucky. And then the address is in a different state, but my interview is in Kentucky. I don't understand your question. I have a VAWA green card interview. What type of questions are they going to ask? They're going to ask you questions to confirm what you said in your VAWA case was legitimate. So they're going to ask you to go through all of your VAWA facts again. And then they're going to ask you questions about inadmissibility, how you came to the United States. Did you ever do anything wrong that would prevent you from getting a green card? And then your address is in Kentucky, but your W-2 address is in a different state. Oh, you're paying taxes in a different state. Well, where you live in Kentucky or in a different state, then change your address. I don't know why you have paying taxes in one state and living in another, unless you're commuting back and forth to Kentucky. Texas BLC, how long for a VAWA work permit without a green card? I already have a prima facie since February. You will not get a work permit unless you filed an adjustment application. And if you filed an adjustment application about 9 months after, if not, you got to wait on the VAWA approval, which will take 3 to 4 years. Shireen Cuisine, if USCIS sent a request for I-693 to the beneficiary and the request for evidence to my husband, do I return both in the same envelope or mail them separately? All together, put it all together in one thing. Also, Shireen Cuisine has a question. Can I send out tax filings, which was married filing separately, and I did not have a son? You should have a joint tax returns, because if you don't, you can cause you a problem with a marriage case. So I would think about amending your taxes. Maria, hi Brad, I have a VAWA pending since 2017. The RFE responded on December 4th, 2018. Until now, no response. What do you recommend? I recommend you hire a lawyer at this point because it's about 5 or 6 years. Kathy, Brad, I came on a student visa which expired. I have a child who is now 15. I was raised by an American, and on my birth certificate has my American mother's name. She tried filing, but it didn't work. Well, it sounds like it didn't work because you have a fake birth certificate saying you're an American when you're not. And I wouldn't be saying this on YouTube and Facebook, Kathy Strang. I think you need a lawyer. Garvis, I was denied asylum in 2018. He's having an individual hearing next year. I'd have 2 kids with a USA citizenship. I believe the case isn't strong and fear to be deported. What's the best option? Get a good lawyer and double and triple check. Alicia White, hi Brad, how are you? I filed my AS-751 since 2021. Got an 18 months extension, then 24 months, now 48. I've been married for almost 5 years. What do you suggest? Well, if you're in a bona fide marriage, file your citizenship. Alicia White just wants to know how long till I get my 10-year. I have no idea. Tanisha Buchanan, can I take Medicaid? Can I take Medicaid? I have adjustment status or is considered public charge. Medicaid is generally considered a public charge, but these days, if it's for short-term and not long-term care, that's okay. Kathy Strang, is there anything that can be done? Yes, stop talking about it online and call my office. It's a serious problem, having fake birth certificates. Let's see what else we got here. Michael Brown, what waiver do I need to send in if I was charged with a CPO? I don't know what CPOCS is, but generally waivers are on I-601, and generally you need a lawyer to get them done right. Nadine Lalbachan, hi Brad, how long does it take to go through with this I-601A waiver? At least 2 years these days. Hello, Uncle Brad. How long could a permanent resident take a trip out of the USA? It has been more than 6 months, but less than a year. I've maintained my U.S. ties. I'm a permanent resident. You need to be less than 6 months each trip. That's the bottom line. If you travel more than 6 months on any given trip, the government has a right to ask you when you come in the airport where you're permanently living. So you run a risk every time you travel more than 6 months of having a problem. Delise Kentish. Hi, Brad. Good evening. My daughter filed for me since the last year, January. She's an American citizen. I assume she's not an animal, your daughter, but I assume that's a typo. Living in Jamaica. And you're living in Jamaica. It's going to take at least one more year. It's about a 2-year process. San Andrean. Will I have any issues? I'm married to a U.S. citizen. I got my green card. Marriage failed. Divorced. Remarried to a different person and petitioned for him. I want to apply for naturalization in August 2023. You're allowed to fall in and out of love again. That's not a problem. Sadiq, asylum granted 2022. Application submitted for I-45 April 2023. How long will it take for NBC to adjudicate my old? Asylum should take a year, but these years it's taking many years. At some point, you'll probably need a mandamus to finish it up. How long does it take for you to get your green card when your Army spouse files for you the same time as it takes any other U.S. citizen? A little over a year. Anthony White, hi, Brad. I filed my VAWA over a year. They approved my VAWA 2 months now. I filed my I-45 a month ago. How long would it take for me to get my green card? About 9 more months. Mahoney Leonardo. I married 2020 to my husband, who's a U.S. citizen. I have my social and permit for work, but no green card. It's been a long time and no response from immigration. I'm still pending. What can I do? You need to start threatening mandamuses, force the government to do their job, which is treat you as an immediate relative, which means that you're immediately eligible for a green card if you're in a bona fide marriage. And if they're not adjudicating your case immediately, it's time to threaten federal litigation. That's what you do if you've been waiting for 3 or 4 years. All right, I'm going to do 2 more questions. Martin Brown with a question. Hey, Brad, will you be denied citizenship when you have a problem with your tax return when you file as head of household and your wife is filed as head of household? I can't guarantee you'll be denied, but I also can't guarantee you that you'll be approved. When you do a marriage case, you have to prove you're in a bona fide marriage with your spouse, which means that you have to be able to show that you have taken joint responsibility for your financial obligations. And when you file head of household, you are not taking joint responsibility for your financial obligations. And as a result, it could cause a problem. It could cause immigration to say this is not a bona fide marriage. I would amend the taxes. And last question right now. I-730 sent to the National Visa Center. I received a letter that's forwarded to the embassy in Uganda, but they have given invoice number to create an account. They advised me to wait for several weeks to get feedback. Should I wait? If they've advised you to wait a few weeks, then wait a few weeks. And then if they still have a problem, then you give me a call. All right. We only have 2 questions left. I might as well just take them. Latoya Gordon, if you come as a ship worker, can you adjust your status? No, you cannot adjust under C1D1, but if you marry someone who's in the military, former military, you can get parole in place and adjust. You could also possibly be 245I and adjust. Otherwise, you would do a provisional waiver, go home and come back. Sylvia Nendali, hi, Brad. What do you do when the I-130 approved petitioner dies and there was an overstay? You file for a humanitarian waiver under 204L, and you get a close family member to complete the adjudication of that case. Prove that you're in a bona fide marriage with your spouse, and your other family member can give you an affidavit of support. So there's ways around it. And lastly, I did all the questions. KK, hi, Brad. I am documentarily qualified since February 2023, along with my son, now 20 and 21. The same day I was approved, my husband did his citizenship. Will this be a problem? No, it will not be a problem, except your children are now off the case because your husband became a citizen, unless your husband filed separately for them. So it's not a problem for you, but it sounds like it's a problem for your children, sadly. All right, so that is our social media check-in for today, April 24th. And let's see what we're going to be doing now. We have a Bradified Marriage. When a citizen or permanent resident files for their spouse's green card, the immigration officers will usually separate the couples and ask them each questions about their relationship to see if it's real or bona fide. Even the closest of couples need to study for this test because sometimes the questions can be tricky. We like to play a game we call the Bradified Marriage Test, where we hit the streets and find a couple to test to see if they could pass a marriage interview. In this edition of our Bradified Marriage game, our correspondent, Yonathan Elias, tested Andrea and Sam from Chicago. Let's see how they did.
What's up, Brad Squad? It's your boy Yonathan Elias out here in the streets of New York. Now, as you know, when a citizen or permanent resident wants to petition for their spouse's green card, the immigration officers are going to take the couple, put them in separate rooms, ask them questions to see if their relationship is a bona fide marriage. Now, these questions can be pretty hard, even for the closest couple. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to walk around, get a couple, and we're going to ask them these questions to see if they can pass the test. All right, so USCIS calls this the Stokes interview, but here at Brad Show Live, we like to call it Bradified Marriage. All right, Brad Squad, so now, like I said, we are going to get a couple, and we have a beautiful one here from Chicago. Yeah, what's your name?
I'm Sam.
I'm Andrea.
Okay, so are you guys going to pass the Bradified Marriage, even though you're not married?
I hope so, else I'll be in trouble.
Uh-oh, yeah. All right. Are you going to get in trouble or not?
I don't know, we're about to find out. I hope not, I hope not.
I hope not either, for your sake. Okay, so now, easy questions. Now, how long have you guys been together?
10 years.
We've been together for 10 years.
Okay. What was the first dance song that you guys danced to?
It was some Mexican song, Adios Amor.
Okay. Ooh, Adios. Wait, Adios Amor. That's sad, right?
Yeah, they're kind of all sad.
Yeah.
They're kind of all about the same thing.
Okay.
That I do not know.
If you could just guess.
Don't even know. I don't even think.
Does your girlfriend shower in the morning or at night?
She does both, but I would say mostly at night.
In the morning.
Okay, and do you shower in the morning or more at night?
I would say I shower mostly in the morning.
Okay.
At night.
Do you guys live together?
No.
Okay, so how many bedrooms are in your apartment?
I live at home.
At home.
5.
5. Do you know how many bedrooms are at where she lives?
Yeah. 4.
All right.
Where I live, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, how many bedrooms at the house he lives in?
5.
Okay. Who does the dishes more often?
Definitely her.
Okay.
He does. For sure. Oh, wait, no, actually, I do sometimes. Yeah.
So which one we're gonna go with?
Yeah, I'll say me.
Okay.
I'll say me.
What meal does your partner cook most often?
She likes cooking a lot of Mexican rice and chicken.
What meal do you cook most often?
Chicken with something, depends.
Okay. All right. Where did you guys go on your first vacation together?
New York.
Is this your first one?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like a father.
Yeah, it's our first vacation alone.
I would say this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what did you guys have for breakfast this morning?
She had a BLT and a latte, and I just had some poached eggs over smoked salmon.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah, and some potato.
Okay.
We had a BLT and he had eggs with hash browns.
There we go. Okay. Now, do you and your partner have life insurance?
Not yet.
Okay.
We don't. Well, I have life insurance. He doesn't. So.
Okay. And does your partner?
Wait, she does.
Oh.
She does. Yeah, she does.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. Does your partner drink alcohol? If so, what is their favorite drink?
Modelo.
Yes, he likes Modelo.
Okay. And how about yours?
Modelo.
I also like Modelo.
Okay. Ooh. Are we ready to bring him over?
Yeah, I hope I did good.
I don't know. We're going to see. Come on. Are you guys nervous?
No, I'm not nervous.
Yeah, see? You're not nervous either, right?
A little.
All right, first question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the question, then you say the answer together.
Okay.
All right, first question. How long have you guys been together?
10 years.
All right. What was the first dance song you danced to?
Adios Amor.
Oh, yeah, okay. I don't remember.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
That was a tough one. Does she shower more in the morning or at night?
Night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, does he shower more in the morning or at night?
Morning.
There we go.
Nice.
Look at that. See, now you're feeling a little bit better. Yeah. How many bedrooms does he have at his house?
5.
Yeah.
Look at that. How many bedrooms does she have?
4. Nice. Wow.
Okay, right. Now, who does the dishes more often?
Me.
Yeah. What meal does she cook most often?
Chicken?
and rice.
Yeah, I say chicken with something different on the side.
This is sounding really good so far. I don't know. Where did you go on your first vacation together alone?
New York.
What did she have for breakfast this morning?
BLT. You have to say it too.
Oh, BLT, sorry.
She's like, mhm.
Yeah.
Now, what did he have for breakfast this morning?
Eggs and salmon.
Oh, I said hash browns and eggs.
Salmon
You both said eggs.
Yeah.
That's good. It's good. I'm gonna give it to y'all because I like you guys. All right. Do you and your partner have life insurance?
Yes. Yeah, I said I do and you don't.
I don't.
There we go. And last one. What is her favorite drink?
Modelo.
And what's his favorite drink?
Modelo.
Come on. I think this right here, not just a kiss, but a little dip. Let's dip her up. Let me.
I tried my best.
I love it. You guys get your green card. Congratulations. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. Well, we're gonna come visit in Chicago next time. All right.
Definitely.
All right. Peace out, Brad Squad.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
That was
Good
fun.
shot. See you. It was fun.
That was fun.
There you go. There you go.
All right. Eventually, we will get. There we are. All right. So that was definitely a real relationship for sure. We're ready to do speed rounds. I'm going to answer 10 immigration questions in 50 seconds, or Jill will blow up my computer. Let's do it. All right. Are we ready? I'm ready when you are. We're going to start any minute. How long will it take to file for my 27-year-old son in Jamaica? Well, if you're assuming he's a single and you're a resident, 8 years or 9 years if you're a citizen. Is there a way to speed up the F1 turned F3 case priority 2012? Yes. Your priority date's current. Can a green card holder file for a K3 visa? No, you have to be a U.S. citizen. Can I buy a car without citizenship? Absolutely. Can you travel outside the United States with an RFE pending on your VAWA case if you have advanced parole only? Can I travel outside the U.S. with a picture of my green card on my phone? No, you can't. You need the green card. I'm filing an I-751. Will I need a separate payment for the biometric fee? Yes. Send in 2 different checks. Can I fly to any U.S. territory with my work permit? Yes, presumably, as long as you're not leaving the United States. I don't know what you mean by territory. If I'm a U.S. citizen, do I need to report my divorce to USCIS? No, you don't. 10, can you apply for citizenship without your green card? Yes, as long as you have your residence for 5 years. If you lost your green card, you can file for your citizenship. Oh, very relaxing. Very, very relaxing speed round. I did it pretty fast. Well, thank you very much, Joe. Thank you for the support and the music. I appreciate it. I think I did it. I think record time is not a fact. Did the clock start on time? I think it did. Even if it didn't, it didn't give me a 12 step ahead start. So either way, I think definitely balloons are in order. All right. Well, thank you very much for the balloons, the music, and the applause. And sadly, we've come to the end of our show. But before we come to the end of our show, we have our comments of the day. Let's do it. All right, comments of the day. Our first comment comes from Romeo Sawyers. Hi, Brad. It's been a while since I've come live on your program, but I still watch it back as soon as I'm able. So continue doing the great job you're doing with your staff. Much love. Thank you very much. Shireen Cuisine, I appreciate your help. I filed by myself using guidance from your show and received my work permit. Oh, congratulations. And Jessica Leamy, we, the immigrants, are doing great things for America. You certainly are, Jessica Leamy. Mika Hewitt, hi, Brad. Wanted to call today, but then I realized you already helped me and I don't need your help right now. Also a thumbs up. Thank you very much, Mika. And lastly, Feel Good Cheap Productions, best free immigration questions and answers. Thank you for the free knowledge. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Phil Chi. And see if we have any other announcements I got to make here, other than we have come to the end of our show. Yes, we will be back on Monday, May 1st at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, remember to like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube so you will get notifications every time we come on live. And of course, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter as well for a lot more immigration content from myself, my team, and the entire staff at the law offices of Spar and Bernstein. Of course, to call me for a consultation, the number has been scrolling at the bottom of the screen for the entire show, 1-800-529-5465. Internationally, it's +1 212-227-8933. You can also go to our website at www.lawsb.com. If you go to our website at www.lawsb.com, you can drop us a text message right from there, and we will be happy to answer it. Until then, everybody have a safe week. I'll see you back here Monday. Have a great time and a great week. So, Sam, as part of the production, we have to say this disclaimer at the end of the show. Do you mind reading it for me?
Okay, but you know, Brad, I have to do everything around here.
Forget it. I'll do it. The proceeding was information only and not specific legal advice. Consult an attorney about your individual situation. Prior successful results do not guarantee a similar outcome in the future. To make an appointment with the Spar and Bernstein Law Firm, located at 225 Broadway in New York City, call 1-800-529-5465. That's 1-800-529-5465. Easy to remember, 1-800-LAW-LINK. That's 1-800-LAWLINK. Once again, make a call to 1-800-529-5465. And of course, link up with the law offices of Spar and Bernstein, located at 225 Broadway on the 5th floor. If I were you out there, make the call, make the link, make the connection, make it Spar and Bernstein. 1-800-LAWLINK. That's 1-800-529-5465. And visit us now at our Connecticut office, 221 Main Street, Suite 501, Hartford, Connecticut. Visit us in Connecticut or in New York at 225 Broadway. That's 1-800-529-5465. 1-800-LAW-LINK, 1-800-529-5465. What are you doing?